Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss some important features of Java. We'll be discussing abstract class, interface, and encapsulation. So under abstract class, we'll be discussing why we need abstract class, what are the rules of using abstract class, and what's the difference between abstract class and concrete class. Then we'll be discussing interface. So we'll be discussing why we need interface and what's the difference between abstract class and interface. And at the end, we'll be discussing encapsulation with detailed examples. Let's start with abstract class. Why we actually need abstract class? So when we want child class should have their own implementation rather depending on parent class, at that time we'll be using abstract class. What does this mean? When I'll be writing the program, I'll be showing that in using the IDE, then it will be much more clear for all of you. So let's discuss what are the rules of using abstract class. So the first rule is that abstract class cannot be instantiated. That means we can't create an object from an abstract class. And the second rule is if a child doesn't implement all the abstract methods of abstract parent class, then the child class must need to be declared abstract as well. And the third rule, a class has to be declared abstract to have abstract methods. Now let's discuss what's the difference between abstract class and concrete class. So if we declare an abstract method in a class, then we must declare the class abstract as well. We can't have abstract method in a concrete class. It can have non-abstract or concrete method as well. Let me show some example here of abstract class. So here I have created animal class. This is an abstract class where we have an abstract method called sound. Let me open dog and cat class. So here you can see dog class is actually extending animal class and it is defining the sound method over here with this message. And we have a main method where we are creating an object of dog class, and if we run this class, here you see we are actually displaying this message over here. Although we didn't have any implementation of this sound method over here in this abstract class, but when dog is actually extending this animal class, this is the place where dog is actually giving the definition of this sound method. So let's say we have another class called cat. Cat can extend animal class as well, and this is what cats wants to print inside sound method. So if you run this class, then this is what we are getting as an output. So this is the beauty of using abstract class. So in abstract class, we can have an abstract method where the method definition will not be there, but the class that will be extending that main abstract class can define the method that it will be using for their own purpose. Okay. Now we'll be discussing another important feature of Java, which is called interface. So what is interface? An interface can have methods and variables just like the regular class, but the methods declared in interface has only method signature but no body. So that means there will be no implementation for those methods that is declared inside the interface. Variables declared in an interface are public, static, and final by default. So how all these things work together, I'll be giving you some example in next few minutes. So there are a few key points to remember for interface. So we can't instantiate an interface in Java. Another thing, interface provides full abstraction as none of its methods have body. And when some class will be implementing an interface, then they just need to use implements keyword. Interface cannot be declared as private, protected, or transient. All the interface methods are by default abstract and public. And here is the difference between abstract class and interface. I am not gonna discuss all these in details, so I would suggest you to read this thing from here, so you can understand easily what's the difference between abstract class and interface. Now let me show you the example of interface. So here I have created two classes called interface demo and my interface. So what these two classes is doing, so here you can see inside my interface we have two different method called method 1 and method 2, and this interface demo is actually implementing my interface. And when some class will be implementing any interface, then that class need to give the details or provide the details of all the methods that is listed inside that interface. Okay, so we had two method, method 1 and method 2. So these are the implementation details of these two method. If we are gonna run this class, then this is the output we'll be getting here. So let's say if we don't provide this implementation details of method 1, it will be complaining add unimplemented method, because inside this my interface we have two methods, but here we actually providing definition for one. So we just need to provide definitions for all the methods that was listed inside my interface. Okay, so now let's discuss encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? It is actually hiding the implementation details from users, and this encapsulation is also known as data hiding. Let me show you some example real quick here. So I'm gonna close these two program. So here you see I have a class called encapsulation demo and encapsulation test. So what it is actually doing, so inside this encapsulation test I am just creating an object of encapsulation demo. So what is inside this encapsulation demo? We can come here. Inside this encapsulation demo class we have these three properties, and we have the corresponding getter and setter method, right? So what we are doing when we instantiate this object, we are setting following values inside this setter, and when we are trying to display all these values we are calling the getter method. So let me run this program here, and we can see the output. Here you see we pass Mario, but we are getting Mr. Mario, and these are the two values we are setting. We are getting all these values. So how we are getting Mr. Mario? So if we come here under encapsulation demo class, then here see inside the getter we are actually adding something over here, although the variable name is employee name, and this is exactly what we are passing from here. But when we are displaying this result, we are doing some specific thing inside this getter method. So this is the beauty of using encapsulation in Java. So it is actually hiding the implementation details. Here we have the source code, that's why we know what we are doing here. But there could be some situations or scenarios where we will be using some third-party libraries, while we will be like only accessing the getter method, but we will be not sure like what is the implementation details inside that getter method. So this is what is called encapsulation or data hiding. So let's summarize what we discussed in this lesson. So in this lesson we discuss abstract class interface and encapsulation. So we discuss why we need abstract class, what are the rules of abstract class, and difference between abstract class and concrete class. Also we discuss why we need interface and why we need to use abstract class or interface and difference between these two, and then we discuss encapsulation as well. I hope all of this information was helpful for all of you. Thanks so much.